Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. So, what are dividends? Dividends are the payment received by the shareholder from the company which they have invested in. Look, when a company makes a profit, the company has two options. Either use the profits and invest it back into the business to help it grow, or distribute it amongst the shareholders as dividends. For example, let's say a company decides to pay 30 rupees of dividends, and if you own 1000 shares of that company, you will probably receive 30,000 rupees from that company as dividends. If you understood this much, you'll obviously have a question that why should a company pay dividends to any of its shareholders? First and foremost, because shareholders are the one who invested money in the company when it needed capital, and then it used the capital invested by these shareholders to make profits. Shareholders kind of have a right to get dividends. Second, and the more important thing, is that it attracts more investors. Look, if a company is going to pay out more dividends, which means there is more likely a chance of more investors investing in that company heavily in a hope of getting good dividends, right? Companies pay dividend on quarterly basis or annual basis. Remember, a company is obligated to pay dividends, but it can stop paying dividends anytime it wants. You should also be aware that if you purchase a company stock on its you should also be aware that if you purchase a company stock on the dividend payment date, you will not be eligible to receive any dividends, because there is something called as the record date. Record date is when the company looks at all its shareholders and decides to pay. And record date is usually 1 to 6 weeks before the actual dividend date, because the processing of payment usually takes 1 to 6 weeks. You can also opt for something called as the DRIP, or also known as dividend reinvestment plan, where you tell the company that you don't want its dividend as money, but you want shares equivalent of the dividend money, which means the company will give you its shares which is equivalent to how much dividends it was giving. This allows investors to receive more shares of the same company over a certain period of time. But this is also sometimes very risky. We should also keep in mind that all dividend paying stocks are not good to invest in, because look, there are two ways you make money in stock market. One is through dividends and the other one is through asset appreciation itself, when the stock price goes up, right, and you make a profit on it. But let's say you invested in a stock and it gave you around 2 to 3% in dividends, but the company was bad, and over a period of time it actually reduced in value of let's say roughly 15%. So you made a loss of 15% and you made a dividend gain of 3%, which means 15 minus 3, which is 12%, which means you actually made a loss of 12%. Which means while investing in any stock, don't only look at its dividend yield, also look at the company's fundamentals and how good the company is, because dividends is not the only way you make money, and asset appreciation is better than dividends because dividends is 2 to 3% or maximum 5%. There are many companies which pay very high dividends in India. For example, Coal India and Indian Oil Limited and GAIL and Hindustan Zinc, Indus Tower and whatnot. But if you look at the charts of this company, it is a downward trend, right? Which means people have only lost money on this company. No one has actually made money in these companies just through dividends. They have only lost money, which means you should be very careful when you choose a stock to invest in. Don't only look at its dividend aspect, also look at the fundamental aspect of the company before investing. That's it for today. Thank you for watching and see you soon.